Assalamu alaikum. In this video, we will discuss the vascular distensibility. What is meant by distension of the vessels and what is its use? How it is related to the different conditions occurring in the human body regarding the volume, regarding the change of the pressure of the blood. So how these things they are managed in the human body, that is mainly concerned with the vascular distensibility. By the definition, we can say it is the valuable characteristic of the vascular system that the blood vessels have the ability to distend. When the pressure in the blood vessel is increased, this dilates the blood vessel and therefore decreases the resistance. This thing shows that if you have in any condition the change of the pressure in the blood vessel occur, either it is going towards the increased side or it decreases. It affects the blood vessels and also not only the volume present in the blood vessel but also the resistance offered by the blood vessels. So all these things they are interrelated with each other and they are going to affect each other. The result is increased blood flow not only because of increased pressure but also because of decreased resistance, usually giving at least twice as much flow increase for each increase in pressure as one might expect. For example, during exercise, the exercising muscle needs more blood. So in that case, the local control of the exercising muscle can manage it easily because of the ability of the blood vessel to distend and to increase the blood flow locally. It is not so simple. It depends upon many other things also, presence of other local factors which are going to control the local blood flow. But here at this stage, you must realize the importance of the interrelationship of blood flow, pressure, volume, resistance, how they are affecting each other. And this is only possible if any vessel has the ability to distend. So it must be having the ability to distend rather than a structure like a pipe, fixed pipe, as you have the water pipe which without ability of distensibility. What is the difference of the water pipe and blood vessel? Blood vessel can manage all these changes occurring in the body, and collectively we can say it the auto-regulation also, that because of these systems, these characteristics of the circulatory system, we can manage the fluctuation of the blood pressure, we can manage the fluctuation of the volume of the fluid present in the body. So you must appreciate that they are interrelated with each other, and because of these abilities, because of these characteristics, we can manage the fluctuations of all these things without adding the aid of the without taking any medication. We can our human body can manage all these fluctuations. The distensible nature of the arteries allows them to accommodate the pulsatile output of the heart and to average out the pressure pulsations. If they are a hard pipe, the changes occurring in the pressure, great changes occurring because of the pumping of the heart, it cannot be managed. So they are going to have to face the excessive pressure which is exerted during sleep by the heart. So the arterial wall have the ability to manage to accommodate this pressure, while the veins provide a reservoir function for storing large quantities of extra blood that can be called into use whenever required elsewhere in the circulation. So if there is excessive blood flow, because of the dilatation of the veins, which is a very specific characteristic for the veins, that they become distended because of the high flow. Because of this property, they can store a large quantity of blood, and when your body needs, they can return it to your body. Here in this video, I am just introducing all these interrelationships. While in the following discussion, we will apply all these things to manage our body. How we are going to manage the local control of the blood flow to the muscle or any organ, and now also what is change occurring due to the high blood pressure or low blood pressure in your body, what is the effect of the sympathetic and parasympathetic. In the following discussion we will discuss all these things, but in this video you must appreciate the interrelationship of these things. Functions of the arterial and venous system, as most of the things I have already told you, it helps to maintain the pressure during cardiac cycle, also during blood volume changes. And you must appreciate that veins are 8 times more distensible than the arteries, stronger walls of the arteries. Arteries have to bear excessive pressure coming from the pumping of the heart. That's the reason. Their walls should accommodate the excessive pressure, while opposite for the veins, they have the more distensibility than the arteries, because the blood when reaches to the veins have very less pressure as compared to the artery. And regarding the arteries, pulmonary arteries, you must appreciate it that pulmonary arteries are 6 times more distensible than systemic arteries as they operate at low pressure. So this ability, this characteristic of distensibility depends upon the basic function of the vessel. Either and I should say that it is directly proportional to the pressure which is offered to the vessel. If it is going to bear the excessive pressure, it will have the very thick and stronger walls as you can have in aorta and in large arteries, as compared to the veins which are facing the less pressure. So their walls that are very much thin as compared to the arterial walls, number one thing, and they are easily distensible. Because of that, they can store the blood in a condition if when you require it. They can behave as the blood reservoir, and when your body need it, they can return this to the body. In this graph, I'm trying to show you the relationship between the volume and the pressure, and it is called the volume pressure curve also. On x-axis we are taking the volume in ml, while on y-axis we are taking the pressure in mmHg. Normally when you have almost 700 ml, that is shown here, this one the normal. When the volume of the blood almost 700 ml, on that your body have the pressure equals to 100 mmHg. I have shown you or highlight this thing by drawing the extra lines, red color lines here, regarding the arterial system, how the volume and the pressure that is going to affect the arterial system, that is shown here with this line. That is, if in case the volume decreases to 400 ml in the arterial system, the pressure drops so much, almost reaching to nil. And you must compare this thing with the venous system, that if the volume normal, that is in the range of 24 or 23 or 24, that is, and the pressure is very slight here in the venous system, and while you change the volume so much change, the pressure increases or change very little. That is the main thing regarding the vascular distensibility, regarding the arteria and the venous system, how they are behaving in a great different manner. And because of that, this ability of the venous system, they are behaving as a blood reservoir. So the most important thing is to check how the volume change affects the pressure change in the arterial system as compared to the venous system. One more thing, stimulation of the sympathetic and inhibition. Mainly the sympathetic stimulation that is increasing the pressure in the arterial system so much. You can see from this one, that is from this value, the value of the pressure is going up to the 140. A great change in the pressure, a great increase in the arterial pressure by the stimulation of the sympathetic supply. So this is the main system which is going to affect the change in the pressure highly as compared to the venous system. Venous system, for that one, if you inject a large quantity of the fluid, there will be very slight increase in the pressure. While if there is change in the volume here to here, it will increase or decrease or affect the blood pressure in the arterial system much more as compared to the venous system. And this is all because of the ability, because of the property of the distensibility of the venous system. Here at this stage, you may be confused why I am telling you all these things, but in following discussions, we will apply all these things to manage our human body. As in human body, we are facing many times increase in the arterial pressure, decrease in the pressure, either the hypertension or the shock, both of these conditions, how we are going to manage it. Initially, our body will manage these conditions, and if it fails or it crosses the limits, then we will add some medication also. So we must know what is the basic our human system to regulate all these fluctuations. One more property, especially for the smooth muscles. And smooth muscles, as we know, they are present in the blood vessels, urinary bladder, and other hollow organs. This is the basic smooth muscle property that is called the stress relaxation. Initially, the behavior is different as compared to the delayed behavior of the smooth muscles. a very specific property related to the smooth muscle. Increased volume first causes increased pressure, but delayed stretching of the smooth muscle allows pressure to return to normal within minutes to hours. And it is seen in the blood vessel, uniblood, and other because of the presence of the smooth muscle in all these structures. So they are behaving in a very different manner because of the basic property of the smooth muscle, that they initially, for the pressure and the change in the pressure, they behave in a different way as compared to their delayed response. The reason behind is that now actin and myosin filaments creep to new and longer lengths. The word creep means very, in Urdu you can say you can say ajeeb, very different behavior as offered by the actin and myosin filaments, which are now behaving in a different manner to this new condition and the longer lengths. What is the significance again? This is the significance is that for the extra volume that can be managed, accommodating and in average blood volume is shifted from veins towards the heart, called the reverse stress relaxation. Here I am telling you the significance or importance just related to the blood vessel. It has separate significance regarding the urinary bladder and other hollow organs, and you will discuss all these things in while discussing the related units. Well, you will discuss the renal unit, kidney unit, or the GIT or other units. There you will recognize the different significance of this property of the smooth muscle. But regarding the blood vessels, because of this property, the extra volume can be accommodated, and in case of hemorrhage, again they can give the extra volume to the body because of this property, that is the reverse stress relaxation. Now comes the arterial pressure pulsation. What is that one? Due to the systole and diastole of the heart, the blood is continuously pumped with the great pressure to the aorta and its larger branches, and ultimately to whole of the body through the systemic circulation. Because of the change of the systole and the diastole, because of the pumping of the blood and then pumping of the heart, and then it is going to relax during the diastole. That is, there is decrease in the pressure, excessive decrease in the pressure. So this change, excessive increase, excessive decrease in the pressure, because of the pumping of the heart, we have the arterial pulsations. There is change in the flow of the blood in the arteries. Initially flowing during the systole, initially flowing with the great pressure, and then followed by low pressure during diastole of the heart. So because of that, in the arteries, the pulsation or that specific arterial pulse wave can be found. By the definition of the pulse pressure, it is the difference of the systolic and the diastolic pressure. And what are the factors? I told you that systole, then diastole, and how the character of the ejection from the heart, that is one more factor. All these things, they are going to affect this pulsation present in the arteries. Now we will discuss the normal and abnormal pulse counter in the arteries. Normal, it is better that I should show you the diagram. These all things you have discussed while in the unit of the heart, while discussing the cardiac cycle. We have the different phases, filling of the right side of the heart, that is the filling of the atrium, then followed by the filling of the ventricles and then ejection from the ventricle. All these things, they are mainly related to the cardiac cycle. I'm here focusing the pulsation in the aorta specifically. And I am saying again and again to you that it is affected by the process of the systole and the diastole. How? I am telling you that when you have this phase ventricular ejection, rapid ejection from the left side of the heart, from the left ventricle into the aorta. At that time, the volume of the left ventricle that is decreasing, but at the same time, as it is ejecting the blood with high great force, with great pressure into the aorta. In the aorta, you can have the change of the pressure from the 80 to going to the 120. Here, my focus is not to discuss the cardiac cycle, but to focus the pressure change in the aorta, how it is affected and what is the change. At that stage, it reaches to the 120 and then reverse take place when the ventricle have ejected enough volume to that aorta. It is shifted to that one, and then now because of the reverse process take place, and the there is decrease in the pressure or the downstroke of the down limb of the graph of the aortic pressure that occurs. At this stage, the closure of the aortic valve take place, and because of that you have just slight increase of this one, the pressure, and then now the pressure decreases because of the closure of the aortic valve. It inhibits the further entry of the blood coming from the left ventricle. Now that stops and the diastole of the heart take place. During that, the aortic pressure in the aorta, the aortic pressure that decreases, reaching to the initial value to the 80, and then the again cycle is repeated. Now I must show you this one. Sorry, this explanation again. That is, there is a first sharp rise from 80 to 120, then first part or descending and incisional closure of the due to the closure of the aortic valve, and then slow decline due to in the diastolic pressure because of the ventricular diastole. This one. After discussion on the normal thing, we must compare it to the abnormal things. In different condition, in different disease condition, for example, in the aortic valve stenosis, this is a condition in which the aortic valve that it narrows so that it is going to change the normal pattern. In that one, the aortic pressure pulse is decreased due to the diminished blood flow. As the valve narrows, less blood is allowed to go into the aorta. So the aortic pressure pulse that is also going to decrease. In patent ductal arteriosus, which is a congenital abnormality, and that will be discussed in detail while discussing the congenital heart abnormalities. But here I must say that systolic blood pressure is very high and the diastolic blood pressure falls very low due to the leakage of blood to the pulmonary artery. In aortic regurgitation, what is meant by regurgitation? That is the black flow. In that case, the systolic blood pressure is high, diastolic blood pressure falls almost to zero and with no insusa. In arteriosclerosis, it is a condition in which there is a hardening of the vessel take place. In that case, the systolic blood pressure is high while the diastolic blood pressure is also high due to the less compliance. And I must show this one. And it is not only showing the graphical differences among all these conditions, but also the comparison with the normal. This is a normal arteriosclerosis when there is hardening of the vessels, narrowing of the aortic valve, the ductal arteriosus that remains pattern, not closes congenitally, congenital abnormality, and regurgitation that is backflow in aorta. Now comes the arterial blood pressure, how you are going to define it, how we can measure the blood pressure in laboratory, or what are the methods, that is the question. It is basically related to the lab, but here I am giving just the introduction to this one. You have a very thorough measurement regarding the blood pressure at rest, what changes occur during exercise, what are the changes related to the mild exercise or moderate or severe, all these that will be performed in the lab. Here just for the introduction, I am telling you arterial blood pressure, the pressure exerted by blood against unit area of the blood vessel wall. And again, why we are discussing this thing here? Because all these things, they are related to the vascular wall, they are related to the volume of the fluid, volume of the blood present in the circulatory system, pressure, and the resistance offered by this whole of the volume of the blood. So we must know that what is the normal pressure in these vessels and how they are going to change, and by different factors, how they are affected by different factors, and what changes occur in our body because of these changes in the pressure, how we can manage these changes, our human body can manage this homeostasis, what is related to that one, and also if that homeostatic mechanism autoregulation that fails, then we add medicines to the human body. We will treat these conditions medically. So this is the definition. Pressure is exerted by the blood against unit area of the blood. Its units is the mmHg, and clinically measured by listening the protocol of sounds. Number one thing, you must remember the spellings of these things. These are the specific sounds. When you increase the pressure of the artery, which stops the blood, and then slowly release the pressure over that vessel, the blood flow in the vessel, after releasing the pressure over that one, we hear very specific sounds by the step, and these specific sounds, they are called the Krotokoff sounds. You must remember, number one thing, the spelling of these sounds, and how they occur, what are different phases or stages of these thing, that must be studied in the lab in much more detail. I, I am here, will give you the introduction to this, how you, what is the arterial blood pressure and how you are going to measure it. It has two phases, the systolic and the systolic and the dystolic pressure, and pulse pressure, that is the difference of the systolic and the diastolic pressures. To measure it, we can have the direct and indirect method. You must be clear about this question, how you can measure the blood pressure. Normally, we can have two methods, direct and indirect. Direct is by offering or introducing the cannula into the vascular system and reaching to the heart, reaching to the almost the closer to the capillary, pulmonary capillary. From there, from that side, you can measure the direct pressure in the vascular system, in the arteries. But that is not possible in the lab. That is not possible that for to just to measure the arterial pressure you prick and you introduce the cannula into the arteries, into the vessel, and reaching to that site that is closer to the pulmonary capillary. That is not possible. So we measure it in the indirect method in the lab. But for the question, to answer this question, you must have the clear picture that we have direct and indirect method to determine the blood pressure. To measure the blood pressure indirectly, as in your lab, we have again two methods, palpatory and auscultatory. The palpatory method is very simple, just increasing the pressure over the vessel and feeling the pulsation of the radial artery. But through that, the only you can measure the systolic pressure, not the diastolic. But through the auscultatory method, you can measure the systolic and the diastolic both. But you must appreciate that in the auscultatory method, you first perform the palpatory method and then auscultate directly over the brachial artery through the steth. So the first part of the auscultatory method have the palpatory method. In the palpatory method, you are just palpating the radial artery. But for the auscultatory method, you will perform first the palpatory method, which is the first part of the auscultatory method, and then you auscultate the this brachial vessel, brachial artery with the steth. So you must be clear. To determine the blood pressure, we have the direct and indirect method. Indirect method have this palpatory and auscultatory method. The auscultatory method again have the firstly to perform the palpatory method and to have an idea, rough idea for the systolic pressure, and then you will have the auscultation through the steth. Why you are performing the palpatory method in the auscultatory method? Because you want to have a rough idea about the systolic blood pressure, so that you will increase the pressure, keeping in mind the value of the rough systolic pressure, not going much more beyond that one. So that is the importance to perform firstly the palpatory method while doing the auscultatory method. You some important values or the definition, that is the mean arterial pressure. It is the diastolic pressure plus one third of the pulse pressure, and we can have the double of the deep diastolic blood pressure with the systolic pressure divided by 3. What is the significant difference between the mean arterial pressure and the venous pulse pressure? Pressure pushes blood through the circulation. So with that, we come to better to come this one. I have discussed all these much more. That is the stroke volume, which is the volume of the blood ejected by the heart in one beat and during one systole, and all of these things you better have idea while discussing the cardiac cycle. Now coming to the measurement of the blood pressure. Now I'm trying to show you how it is going to affect when you increase the pressure in the cuff applied to the brachial artery. while increase in the pressure going beyond to the 120, there it will stop the pressure in the brachial artery. There will be no flow in that. And while decreasing it slowly, the pressure in the brachial artery through the cuff applied over that one, and the blood flow starts, and there will be free flow. Now I am showing you different animations regarding how you will record the blood pressure. Here you must check the position of the cuff applied over the brachial artery. Position of the stet, that is the chest piece of the stethoscope, how it is applied over that. Before applying the chest piece, you must palpate the pulsation in the brachial artery. Then you will apply the cuff there and increase the pressure, and you will put the chest piece of the stent. I will show you a number of animations just to have the clear concept about the determination of the blood pressure by applying the cuff over the brachial artery. You are increasing, you are pumping the pressure through this air valve into the cuff. This is the mercury level going or increasing here in the mercury tube here the NS sorry, so that when you increase the pressure it will stop the flow to the arm through the brachial artery, and when you release the pressure slowly, that will allow the blood to flow in the radial and the ulnar arteries. Here I am trying to show you the effect of the systole and the diastole of the heart, which is conveyed to the major arteries. What change occur in the arteries during the systole and the diastole? You can see, because of the increased pressure during the systole, which is pumped from the heart to the conveyed to the vessel, so that there is bulge or the vessel that is distended, and during diastole the pressure is released. So this is the animation showing the change occurring in the wall of the vessel because of the increase and the decrease of the pressure. Again, the same thing. Now coming to the Krotokoff sounds, I have told you that when you increase the pressure, and then that will occlude the blood flow to the arm. What happens? You release the pressure slowly, coming to this, coming, decreasing the pressure and reaching to this value. It allows the decrease in the pressure over the brachial artery. It allows the slow and turbulent effect and flow of the blood through the vessel, which creates very specific pattern of the sound which is heard through the stent. As you have applied the chest piece over the brachial artery, so that will pick these specific sounds, and they are not fixed because they depends upon the sound produced due to the turbulent effect of the blood flow which is flowing into the occluded brachial artery. Now you have decreased, you have released the pressure slowly, and that is allowing the flow of the blood through the vessel. So the pattern is not fixed. As there is slow flow here, again the normal flow here. So there is increase in the intensity, there is change in the pitch of the sound, and all this. So these specific pattern collectively called the Krotokov's sounds. So you must appreciate this thing, and because of listening this specific sound through the earpiece of the stethoscope, you recognize the change in the systolic and the diastolic pressure. When you release the pressure here at this stage, these sounds they can be heard, and at this stage they stops. So this is the normal range in which you can hear these sounds clearly. Applying excessive pressure here, you initially stop the flow. When you release, if for example here in the this range you release the pressure and the value is now 140, 130, 135, 130, 125, you will listen the Krotokov's sound? No. These sounds will be heard here at this from 120 to 80 normal. But if you are hearing at 130 or 135, that will show the value of the systolic blood pressure. So this is the determining of the systolic pressure and the diastolic pressure values. When you start the hearing the Krotokov's sounds, note or check the value of that. This is the value of the systolic blood pressure. When you stop hearing these sounds, that will be the value of the diastolic blood pressure. Normally, we can uh, hear these sounds starting from the value of 120, and that goes on and stops at 80 mmHg. So normally we have systolic 120 mmHg and the diastolic blood pressure, that is the 80 mmHg. These values, they are not fixed. They change according to the pressure present in the arterial system, which depends upon different factors, not only the distensibility, not only the volume, and all others where resistance, and as many we have discussed already, and we will discuss in following discussions also. But here I am telling you that this is the determinant for the value of the systolic and the diastolic blood pressure present in the artery. So with that, we finish the introduction to the topic of the blood pressure and also the distensibility, how it is affecting the veins, that we will discuss in the next video, by focusing the veins, what is the central venous pressure, how they are distended, and either they have the valves or not, and other things related to the vascular system, related to the veins, that will be discussed in the next video. So here we will stop. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.